Coleman Report Live, fall edition, November 7th. Lance, you and I were talking 34 degrees in Arkansas.
It's 34 degrees, Bob, and I'm really sad that it's not Halloween again, so I can break out my scary boot.
It's going to be 87 degrees here tomorrow.
I'll take some of that.
You'll take some of that. Hey, let's go to the polls. Thanks all for joining us. Let's get to it. We got a lot of stuff. Do you believe online lending has led to a reduction in your SBA 7A loan volume?
I look forward to seeing what people say on this one, Bob. I know that just in communication with small business borrowers, they sometimes have really quick needs for capital. And I've heard stories from borrowers that they do use online lending.
And I actually, that's a little low. I thought more people would say yes.
Well, I think it does have an impact, and I think as participant lenders, we have to find ways to deliver more efficient SBA loans.
Well, I know, and SBA also knows these numbers, and that's part of the reason why they want to increase Express up to $1 million.
Sure.
And make it easier to get capital out under the SBA programs at a very reasonable interest rate. Number two, what percentage of your borrower's equity injection comes from IRA rollovers?
You know, my answer to this question, Bob, is historically, well, in the past, I've had one or two. This year, I've had more seller finance on full standby as part of the equity injection.
All over the board. Yeah, and I think those of you who answer none, you're going to see that become more and more prevalent as baby boomers retire and they want to open up a business. So I think you're going to see more and more of that. Or you're going to see the 40-year-old guy or gal who's put in 20 years and they want to buy someone else. So you're going to see that more and more. And finally, we asked this question: are you comfortable processing SBA Form 159? And Lance, that is a blatant infomercial for your webinar next week.
Well, this becomes more and more important with SBA. They're collecting information and they're interested in who's charging borrowers fees and what they did for those fees.
And I've talked to 3 lenders who have had issues in processing that and have had their hands slapped by SBA. So for those of you answering 70%, congratulations. And the 16%, sign up for Lance's webinar next week. Hey, we're trying to confirm this, but I know this is a hot topic at Nagel. I do not believe that this is in place yet, but we're talking about this to put it on your radar. But they're talking about on the IRA rollovers to process those GP as opposed to PLP. That is not, it's on the horizon. They may be screening it out already. I don't know. We will try to get more definitive on that, but it's coming, Lance. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll probably come out with the new 5010 that's going to be released late this year, early next year. I don't really, Bob, understand why, but I'm sure SBA will tell us.
Very good, very good. And we'll try to get more on that. Yeah, I mean, there's really no difference in that between that and a couple $100,000 in savings, but I guess
well, and the thing, Bob, in terms of verifying equity injection, it's a lot easier to verify the equity injection on a retirement rollover, than a 401k rollover, than it is funds that come from somewhere else. It's
my guess, and this is a pure guess, which could be wrong, is one of these went south. The borrower didn't document it correctly. The company didn't document it correctly. So all of a sudden you have this huge tax liability, which sucks up cash flow. There you go.
Hey, Bob, you hit it on the head. Almost every change in the SOP is the result of a loan that went bad.
Hey, Lance, we got a great question from Linda. The question is, she's looking at a residence on a farm, and is that eligible for SBA financing?
Well, this is kind of an interesting area of financing. Many of us have done poultry loans, including myself, Bob. I'm guilty, and you used to could pretty much finance the owner's personal residence in your poultry loan. It was all part of the farm. SBA now takes a closer look. Now, it's not that you cannot finance a piece of like a trailer house or a house that's on the farm property, but it has to be necessary for the farm operation, i.e. you need a manager on site 24 hours a day and you're providing a place for them to live. You can't just go out and finance the owner's new 4,000 square foot home within their SBA loan.
Right. Very good. Martha asked a question on business acquisition expansion. Go ahead, Lance.
Well, she's just talking about an existing business that's expanding, and of course, on a business acquisition loan, the SOP requires a 10% equity injection at a minimum, and she's asking about an existing business. The equity injection rules are a little different on an existing business. If you do a pro forma balance sheet and their net worth hits 10% or more, there's no requirement for an equity injection. Now, where I would be careful with this, Bob, is let's say you're in the furniture business and your expansion is in a completely different industry. That's looked at differently and would require the 10% equity injection. But if you're in a furniture business and you're just looking to buy another furniture business to expand your operation, there may be the possibility of no requirement for an equity injection.
Very good. Katie, let's bring you into the conversation. Welcome.
Thank you.
We asked the question about the online lenders. 51% of us say, yeah, it's cut into our 7A volume. How did you feel about that number?
I'm really not surprised because as you can see on here, 32% of business loan applications last year were online lenders, and that's just going up. You're seeing last quarter, Cabbage originated, 670 million loans in the last quarter alone. Some other online lenders, Square Capital, facilitated 390 million. It is growing. And the thing that I found actually interesting was that women and minorities are getting these online loans more and more, and it's actually helping their business a little bit. And the reason they're suspecting that is because these loans are very easy to understand. And if conventional loans or through banks were as easy, they would probably be choosing those.
Yeah, and studies have shown that if you give a small business borrower two options, speed versus a lower interest rate, they're going to take that speed option most of the time. They want the money, and they're going to factor it into their cost.
Hey,
So good reporting.
Bob, real quick comment on that. You make an incredible point, guys. I was a former small business owner who borrowed money from my bank. I didn't really care how long it took you to close the loan. I cared how long it took you to tell me yes.
Yeah.
A quick yes is going to relieve the small business owner, let them know the capital's coming. If it takes you a little while to close, to get the documents together, they're okay. But a slow yes or no is the worst thing you can do as an SBA lender.
Absolutely. Hey, we haven't discussed this in a while, and there was a symposium yesterday by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And what the issue is that we are very concerned as an industry of this data collection. Now, we understand what they're doing for consumers. In Lance, it's easy to compare on women and minorities, on automobile loans or houses. That's you're comparing similar type of lending products. But here, what the industry has a concern with is we have an established business. We have Lance, who's been in this furniture business for 20 years. He wants to get a $100,000 loan. And then Katie comes in and wants to open up a cupcake shop, and a startup cupcake shop. And the lender says, no, we're not going to do that. She doesn't have any collateral. And we're going to. So the concern that we have as an industry is, how is this data going to be used, and what will the CFPB do on this? The reason why I talk about this is it's been under the radar, and we'll see what happens, but we'll follow it closely. And obviously, and the concern is, what our lenders are we going to have to do for collection, reporting, and controlling that data? Katie, what are you writing about tomorrow for Fraud Friday?
So last week, SIGTARP's quarterly report came out, and they listed several different fraud cases that they've been handling. One of which was the Noah Bank case, which I believe we've already covered a little bit. I will be giving an update as to what's going on there. Basically, what happened was the CEO, Edward Shen, secretly solicited and received bribe payments in connection with SBA guaranteed loans, and he would involve his broker, I believe. Yeah, a broker who was not involved in any of these loans, but he would involve him anyway so that he could get a broker fee and they would split the fee.
This is all allegedly.
Right. Yes.
And allegedly, he took an ownership position. Mr. Shin took an ownership position in some of these transactions. So we'll follow up on this. And of course, what's interesting for us is this is SBA related, and that's why we talk about these stories. Is the stuff that's still going on allegedly? So we'll give you an update.
Wonder if they had an appropriately completed 159 for this.
Oh, there you go. Hey, we're still keeping this open. Please submit your nominations. It doesn't have to be extensive. Pro tip: emerging under 40 is there may be some openings there for you to take advantage of that. Let's talk about our upcoming webinars. We talked about, we just came out with this new product, which I'm very excited about. We're going to call it the SBA Compliance Report. It's a weekly newsletter for the C-suite and bank directors dealing with top-level issues. The first one was we did a recap of a OIG report and telling the directors what the mistake the lender made that could jeopardize that guarantee. So that's a new product that we're coming out with. And go back. We have a cool promo code there that you save a couple $100 off. So and I think we're releasing the first one today. Did it go out yesterday? Either yesterday or today. I don't know. There we go. That's what everything you're going to be talking about, Lance.
That's a long list, Bob. I don't know if I can cover it all in an hour, but we're going to talk about the SBA Form 159. It is important, guys, to do this and do it properly. The Inspector General's interested in it. Congress is interested in it. So we need to properly complete these 159s and submit them.
Yeah, and SBA's interested in, and I think you're going to see part of the reason we're doing the C-suite newsletter. You're going to see a much more aggressive attitude by SBA being your regulator, and that's why these things are becoming very, very important. And you're going to see SBA holding lenders PLP licenses at a very high bar to make sure that everything's being completed properly. So that's why we're focusing on this. Finally, we're going to do the USDA B&I loan program on the following day on November 19th. We are, let's see, just a couple of these things. We have that report, and what else we got here?
Hey, Bob, I want to throw a plug in for the NAICS franchise report. I had an opportunity. A franchise organization was not wanting to sign the addendum and for the borrower, and I was able to go in the franchise report, copy and paste the number of addendums they had previously signed, send it to the executive and say, see, you've done it before. Guess what? The next day, Bob, we had the addendum. So it's a handy tool.
Yeah, and you have their all their stats right there. Let's do a shout out on. Let's go to the next slide. Next one. There we go. Shout out for the regional conferences next year, and we like to plug these. And you can see, America West is going to be in Denver. I didn't realize that. That'll be good. And Asheville, Baltimore, Nashville. And
well, Mid-America, Bob, is going to be down in I don't see it on here yet, but it's in April down close to Galveston.
Yeah, Joseph, we had that. Maybe it hasn't been announced yet. Maybe that's why we don't have it. Whoever out there from Texas, let us know, and we'll include it. Yeah.
I bet Jim Kaler can give us the info.
Very good. Thank you all for joining us. Please send your questions in. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Have a great weekend.